Hello everyone, this is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel. Welcome to episode number 48 of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues. Today is a special repeat performance with my good friend Sifu Richard Torres out of Fishkill, New York, and JKD Martial Arts Institute. We decided today that we would dialogue mostly about, let's call it the business end of Jeet Kune Do. So here we go. Hope you enjoy.
Now you sound okay.
Right.
Do you hear me?
See?
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
I think for right now that this is the technology we'll have to use. So how you doing? Everything good?
Good. Good. I wanted to
Yeah?
introduce you to my friend here, James. He came from the Netherlands. Let me put you over
Ah.
here.
All
Say
right.
hello, James.
Hey James.
Hi, Dwight.
He's the one that translated the Tao here into German, German and Dutch. So
And I saw him in the pictures from your Netherlands seminar,
yes,
right?
yes.
Yes. Okay.
Back-
I recognize him from that.
Back in what is it? 1994. We brought in Ted Wong, or 95?
95.
95.
95.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had like 125 people there.
Hey man, I did my research. I know all about it.
So
Actually,
go ahead.
I wanted to ask you about that because
Can you hear him?
there are,
Go
you
ahead.
know,
Go ahead. Sorry.
oh man.
No problem.
Okay, there are pictures of you doing ground fighting in that Netherlands seminar. Yeah.
It might have been a later seminar. Yeah.
Okay.
But
okay.
I was teaching how to deal with the grappler at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you that because for everybody who doesn't know, Sifu Torres and I decided today that we would focus a little bit more on the teaching aspect and the business aspect of JKD. So, oh, this will be weird.
Now he can hear.
I'm sorry.
No
I'm
problem.
sorry.
No problem.
Right.
Can you hear him now?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Cool. So where did you do your research for grappling counters? Out of the Tao, or did you go to anybody or work it out on your own?
I did grappling with my dad, in jiu-jitsu.
That's true.
So basically learning the Jeet Kune Do and then understanding the grappling, we had to basically understand how to counter the grappler without grabbing.
Right.
In other words, we didn't do counter grappling, but we did the fighting, ground fighting instead of trying to look for the reversal.
Can you move your camera a little bit? I only have half of your face.
There we are. How about that?
There we were.
See what happens when you request?
I know.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, no, so if one of you guys could go like behind or in front
James,
of the
come
other,
on this
it
side.
might work out well. Yeah.
Come this side over here.
Which side?
No, come more closer. To me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
How's that?
Okay. Yeah. Reminds me of when I was on with Ron and Jesse James.
Oh,
Oh, boy.
We're like Siamese twins here now.
There you go.
How's that?
Right. Okay. So that's fine. Do a quick review for anybody who might not have seen episode 46, because in case you guys don't know, this is the special repeat performance. So do the quick review from 71 when you started training in the Japanese karate, and then on to with your dad, and then how you came into the JKD world through the Radcliffe seminars.
Well, basically, I did karate in 71, and then I started doing jiu-jitsu with my father because he had his own school, but he waited and started training me later, and I did that with him. He was a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And then I did some of the kung fu with a friend of mine when this whole martial arts thing went crazy back in the 70s when everybody was kung fu fighting, So I did some of the Wing Chun and some of the kung fu with him. So it was good because I was able to see different aspects of martial arts, that one didn't teach and the other taught. So they were almost like filling the gaps. And of course, in 73, after Bruce Lee passed away and Enter the Dragon came out, then I started pursuing Jeet Kune Do wholeheartedly. And then I did the
you
kickboxing with my cousin.
right, yeah, you had a kickboxing phase also, right?
Yes, because I did it with my cousin. He was actually a boxer, so I
Okay.
taught him how to kick, and then we went at it.
Yeah, but that's kind of interesting because didn't Bruce Lee go through a similar progression, let's call it, away from let's call it traditional Wing Chun and into kickboxing?
Oh yeah. Well,
Right?
his objective in LA was to turn those traditional Kempo guys into more freestyle kickboxers. And it was a little more self-motivated for Bruce because he needed sparring partners.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
when he got the idea of the full contact equipment and sparring was the reality and all that, he needed someone to spar with. So,
Right. Yeah.
So opening up the school gave him plenty of people to go and spar, and he would do that religiously on Sundays. He would go to the school, because Dan was teaching the classes, but on Sundays he would go down specifically for full contact sparring.
Right.
So,
okay. All right. So now your school's been open for over 20 years.
it'll be 25 years in September.
Okay. All right. When and why was the decision made to open up a school?
Because I was teaching in my garage, and it got too crowded in the garage. We had 10
That's
people.
a good reason to move.
We had 10 people already there, and I couldn't fit anybody else, and so we had to find a place very quickly. And when I was teaching in my garage,
are you in the same spot that you've been in for 20-something years?
25 years. Yeah, same exact spot.
Okay, that's cool.
It's funny because I get
cool.
students, they come back after they've left, and they live their life, and they came back and they say, wow, you're still here, and I want to do it again. So
right. What's the furthest that you have students who now come to you or have come to you in the past?
Probably in Germany and Netherlands and.
Well, I meant like New York or Pennsylvania or what have you.
I understand the question now.
That's a good one.
They come to my school to train. Well, we're centrally located in upstate New York, so we have people that come from New Jersey.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, as far as
Pennsylvania too, right? Don't you?
Well,
or
close
you could?
to Pennsylvania, the borderline there. And then we have on the that's the west, and then on the east we have people that come from Connecticut, and then on the south we have people that come from the city. Okay. And in the north, I think probably as far as Albany and. But so we're like in the center, and everybody's coming from the east, the west, the south, and the north.
Right.
To come and train with us. So.
And I looked up Fishkill. It's originally like a Dutch settlement or something.
Correct. This guy's Dutch.
Yeah. Okay. So he feels right at home.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's called Dutchess County too. That area.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And oh shoot. And your name again, sir?
My name is James.
James Turby.
James. Yes. Right. Okay. So James, you're in town doing work with Sifu Richard?
Well, I'm
or just hanging out.
Just hanging out.
Okay.
He's coming in.
But I was there. Yeah. I was there when Richard made the decision to when he found the school.
Yeah.
I remember us peeking through the windows of the school.
Looking through the window. Yeah. He was with me.
Yes.
When I found the place.
93.
So, okay. There's a picture on the website of two people at the sign for the shopping center.
Okay. We've taken a few pictures there. So.
Yeah, but I mean, this might have been the early one. Is James in one of those?
He did take a picture in front of that sign. So
okay.
It could be.
That might be the one. All right. I want to ask you about the demographics of the Fishkill area. I mean, because it's not the same demographics as, say, Queens or Brooklyn or Manhattan, right?
That's correct.
Right.
It's
so what?
More rural. Yeah.
Okay. So how do rural people get an inkling about Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do?
Well, everybody's heard of Bruce Lee now because, you know, the social media and
Yeah.
everything from the movies. So
When they
know
when they
Bruce Lee
come
is.
to you,
Mhm.
when they come to you, do they come to you because you're a karate school that's in town and they looked up martial arts in Fishkill and saw you listed? Or do they come to you because they know that you are the local Jeet Kune Do or the regional Jeet Kune Do school?
Well, the only Jeet Kune Do school.
Okay.
Well, they, you know, some people do their homework and they realize what Jeet Kune Do is,
Yeah,
and some of them start searching for Jeet Kune Do specifically,
yeah,
and they find my school.
okay.
Others, you know, basically know that we're the oldest school in the area, so so that says a lot, and they come to our school. And then others want to train realistically, you know, not do traditional arts.
Okay, so if somebody said to you, well, there are two schools that I'm considering, yours and UMAC, right?
UMAC.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about.
You did your homework, huh?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yes, I did. Right? Okay. So they say to you, there's two that I'm considering because they're both close to my house. What do you tell them?
I tell them, talk to this parent over here that used to go to UMAC and ask them what they think about it. Listen, I don't put schools down, but the reality is the reality. Some schools are more like daycare centers.
Yeah.
In fact, UMAC they actually promote that. They say we're an after-school karate school. You know, we'll take care of your child, and we'll give them a snack. We'll help them with their homework. So it becomes a little like a daycare, you know.
Yeah, and there's some people that's exactly what they're looking for,
and they need it.
So because
they're working so far away, and they need somebody to watch their child.
Yeah.
For a
So a school like UMAC fills a need of the community, so more power to them. Right? It's as simple as that.
Unfortunately, the martial arts aspect of it is not that strong.
Well,
so it's, you know, you get a little bit of daycare and a little bit of karate, and which is okay. You know.
I experienced that locally here in Miami, where in order to boost their curriculum, you would find some of the traditional schools borrowing stuff from other methods, you know? And I always found it interesting that you could say, well, at least in the JKD concepts approach, that there is borrowing from other systems as well, right? So then these traditional schools end up doing something similar to the JKD concept schools, if you get what I'm saying, even though I think the concepts approach is not the same as a traditional Taekwondo that's borrowing. But what I wanted to ask you about that is, you are well known as, let's call it classical Jeet Kune Do, as opposed to Jeet Kune Do concepts. So what's the strategy for keeping people engaged
in the art?
Yes. Right. And now understand, I'm not saying that there is no strategy. I'm not saying that you need to borrow from other things, because you don't.
We don't.
But I just want to know what your personal approach is.
Well, we have you know, it depends on the class. If they're in, you know, if they're in a beginner's class, they know that they have to shoot to get to the advanced class.
Right.
So they'll have to go through the intermediate, and then they go to the advanced class and so forth. So at least it gives them something to shoot for, you know, as far as the class is concerned. But now when they're in the advanced class, I think you're asking, how do you retain the students?
I'm asking, how do you retain across the board? Because people tend to get bored when they're not getting something new every couple of weeks.
I know, but I don't. With Jeet Kune Do, there's never a dull moment. I mean, I said that before in the other one. You know, really,
Yeah.
it's something that's. I think it's amazing. I think it's never a dull moment. You're learning something and you leave and you go to with that feeling of of accomplishment. So it's not boring at all.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not gonna name any names. I'm not gonna name the school or whatever, right?
Okay.
But I can tell you that in a particular aspect of the Jeet Kune Do world, there were some instructors who complained that they had run out of material to teach.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
How can you ever? I've been teaching for over 25 years because before the school I had my garage and then I had the basement schools. I've never run out of anything to teach. You know, there's always something to teach. I think what the problem with that is that they run out of ways to teach it.
How do you mean?
I think I explained that the last time. If you have the least straight thrust, for example,
Okay.
and then and you say, okay, here we have the least straight thrust in Jeet Kune Do, the straight punch, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if all you're doing is the same exact drill of putting a focus glove up and punching it for the least straight thrust, then of course it's going to be boring.
Yeah.
But if you can figure out ways of introducing that same tool in different ways, then it becomes exciting. See? Now you can do the least straight thrust, hitting a focus glove. You can do a least straight thrust with footwork moving around. You can do the least straight thrust as a interception or as a stop hit, or you can do the least straight thrust. Just different ways that you can figure out ways of having the student doing the same punch, but in different ways to continue keeping it interesting. So how can you run out of materials when you're teaching that way? See?
Okay. So you might use, are you saying you might use
That's just an
lead
example.
straight thrust?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you're saying you might use that and emphasize different attributes?
Yeah. Sometimes you can work on the speed of it. Sometimes you can work on the power of it.
Okay.
Sometimes you can work on the non-telegraphic of it.
Okay.
So there's different attributes of that same punch that you have to work on, and again, that's just one tool. Imagine all the tools, and different aspects of training.
Yeah.
And then of course, then you can train it in combination with other things.
Mm-hmm. So in the beginner class, what would they be working on with regards to the lead straight thrust versus the intermediate class versus the advanced class? Can you give me an example of that?
Well, the beginners class, Bruce Lee says, and there's 3 stages in every technique, which is synchronization with the self, synchronization with an opponent, and using it under fighting condition. So synchronization of the self is when you're doing it like in front of a mirror, trying to get all the different aspects for the punch.
Shadow boxing?
It could involve shadow boxing. The thrust is a little more powerful than just a jab or so forth. So, but as a beginner, you will learn how to get the power, get the speed.
Okay. Being
non-telegraphic with it, and work some drills that'll help that. See, in the intermediate, where we introduce mobility, okay, this is where you have to learn how to move and execute that punch without losing the power and the speed and so forth, and the telegraphic part of it while in motion. See. Okay. And then I also in that stage I also teach the 3 forces that make that punch up. That Bruce Lee created, 3 forces for the complete power of that lead straight thrust. Okay. I don't teach it to the beginners. Okay, fill me in on those 3 forces.
He wants to know the secret.
Okay. I will send you a message on that.
Okay.
And then Yeah, because I feel
Right?
you up. I'll see this on Facebook. Everybody knows it, you know.
Ah,
Oh,
all right.
you'd be surprised how many people, you know,
Yeah.
they just take things from you. But
Okay.
anyway, and yeah, and then the
Go ahead.
advance, you know, you using it on the fighting condition.
Mhm.
You know, by second level, they're actually sparring too, so they have to use it in sparring too. So
Are they sparring with full contact, or are they sparring with control contact? How much equipment are they using, and what have you?
it depends on the experience of the student.
Okay.
You know, some students who have more experience will go a little harder than others. You know, if you're sparring a student who's just begun, you're not going to go hard on him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
So
as they get better, you know, then you can go a little.
So everybody signs a liability waiver.
Absolutely. You don't train in the martial arts schools without signing a liability waiver.
Right. Contracts or no contracts?
In my school, I would say at the beginning, yes.
Okay.
Probably the first year. After that, people are with me as long as they want to be with me.
Okay.
You know, the way I say is if I'm making a commitment to you to teach you this fantastic art, then you have to make a commitment to me as a student.
Yes. Right.
If you allow people to just come in and leave whenever they want, that's not, you know, there's no commitment there. And how are you going to commit yourself to them when they don't reciprocate? See?
Mm-hmm. So. Okay. Here's another item or not. Birthday parties or no birthday parties?
No way. It's a martial arts school. There's not a Ninja Turtle kids party place. I'm sorry, whoever does that. That's your thing, but not in my school.
Okay.
I did it one time for one of my students who was very sincere.
Yeah.
She asked me to do it, but it was because she wanted her friends to see her doing martial arts and so forth.
Right.
So you know, but we don't do the little Ninja Turtle parties and all that. No.
Right. The class schedule that's on the website, is that current? The kids' classes are only on Tuesday and Thursday?
Correct.
Okay. And now when we tested the technology yesterday morning, you were there, but I don't see any morning classes on the schedule.
That's my private classes.
Okay. Okay.
So they're
Okay.
I teach privately during the day. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Right. Curriculum design. Everybody trains in everything from the start. In other words, does everybody train kickboxing from the start, or do you let them get more familiar with the hands and then introduce the lower body later on, or is it all right from the start, kicking and punching?
We teach kicking and punching from the start.
Okay.
You know, just basic kicks and basic punches, though. You know, there are other kicks that are more advanced that we wait for their higher level for that, and punches too. So.
Okay. What's the biggest challenge, or what was the biggest challenge, right? Because here's what we'll assume. We'll assume that over 20-something years, you have the perfect curriculum. Right?
Nothing's perfect, right?
What was the biggest challenge in the early days? So like month number 1 or something.
When I first started?
Yeah. What was the biggest challenge in designing the curriculum? Maybe even in designing the school. Do you have any memories of what the early struggle might have been?
I think the early struggle probably, the students that were with me way back then probably were growing with me. You know, as I was growing, they were growing. You know, so basically the idea of the discoveries as you're going and you're teaching,
right?
You know, and experimenting.
Right.
They were the students now. I think they haven't made because all the trial and error now has been fixed.
And James, you were there all along during the trial and error season, right?
Yes.
So where did you guys first meet? When and where and how?
We were both members of the Hong Kong Bruce Lee Club.
Okay.
And they had a pen pal list. So in, I think, 77, I wrote you.
Your letter's back here
Wow.
somewhere. There it is. Right over
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's-
His letter's over
Control
there.
yourself. You're wearing headset.
So that's,
Siamese twins. Look at this.
Yeah.
so we've been together for a quite long time. And I
Yeah.
teach Jeet Kune Do in Holland.
Okay.
So Richard introduced me to Seafood Ted Wong, and that's how it all started.
Is the Holland situation somewhat
Sorry.
similar?
I didn't get that.
Is the Holland situation somewhat similar? Like there's not that much Jeet Kune Do,
No.
and you're the only school and what have you?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
pretty
correct.
much.
Yeah.
I wanted
Okay.
to show you something, Dwight.
Uh-huh.
This is we were always talking about Bruce Lee and how he motivated himself and figuring out, where he's gonna make money, and I got this from one of my let's see, yeah, can you see that?
Yeah.
This is Bruce Lee figuring out where he's gonna get his money from. Yeah. And
I don't know very many people who own that.
kind of.
Seriously.
So he's saying Bruce Lee's Kung Fu Institute, and he's saying Seattle 65, 35%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oakland 65, 35. He put Los Angeles twice. Los Angeles 100%,
Yeah.
and Los Angeles
Where-
65, 55.
Where do you think? Because remember we had talked about what was the book you snapshotted for me? Professional showmanship,
Profitable showmanship.
profitable showmanship. Right. So, do you think that his percentage breakdown came out of books like that?
No, I think this was something that he was trying to figure out where his income is going to come from as far as martial arts is concerned.
Yeah.
It was after the Green Hornet got canceled.
Yeah.
In fact, he even put books, training films, etc. And he put the Tao of Kung Fu and self-defense with Kung Fu. That's on the bottom here. See?
Wow. Okay.
So and it's funny because I don't know if you can see. This is him adding numbers up. So I guess he was figuring out how much money where.
Right. Yeah.
And they came out to 500. So.
Do you think that he got a taste of that after the success of the philosophical art of self-defense book?
He got
Because you mentioned that in the last one.
He got a taste of what?
That he got a taste of income that could be obtained through martial art.
Well, we all know that he got approached to do Cato schools, but he wasn't going to actually be involved in it, so he turned that whole thing down. But I think, reality, when reality hits that you need money, you
Right.
have to sit down and figure out where's it going to come from. And obviously he had a product that he could sell.
Right.
I mean, if you look at let's see what I have here. If you look at his card here, in the back of it, that he charges $150 an hour.
Yeah.
And the wording was important. That he put professional consultation and instruction, $150 an hour.
Right.
That was a guy named Charlie Fitzsimmons. Actually, he was a assistant of William Dozier, and he was the one that worded that for Bruce. Because he asked, he ran into Bruce after Green Hornet got canceled. He ran into Bruce and he said, "Bruce, what are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I'm doing teaching classes and so forth." And he asked, and he said, "So what are you charging?" And I think Bruce told him he was charging $25 an hour for private lessons, and I think it was $25 a month for the school, the LA school.
Right. Yeah.
And he almost lost it. He said, "Are you kidding? That's cheap. You can't charge people $25 an hour." And he said, "Let me write something for you." And he said, "Look, make yourself a business card." And he told him to put his, Bruce Lee instructor, but Bruce just put Bruce Lee in his logo. Right. But he wrote, that professional consultation, and then non-professional tuition, whatever that means, $500 for 10 sessions, But but Bruce thought $150 was crazy, but this guy Fitzsimmons, he told him, make it and give it to the Hollywood crowd, and Bruce had the inside, because of Jay Sebring, the guy who cut his hair.
Yeah.
Also, the guy who told William Dozier about him in the Long Beach, who got him the Green Hornet part. So he would give this card out. But then Bruce realized, hey, 150. At first, he thought $150 was crazy to charge. You're talking about 1967, 68. But when he charged $150, it still seemed inexpensive. So then he went 275.
Right.
Oh, where is it? Yeah, here we go. 275.
Yeah.
Okay. This is another card. One of his cards. Linda and Shannon signed it up there. But it's the same thing,
Well, I'm wondering if the first person who paid him $150, if they paid it so easily that he thought, I should ask for more.
I should ask for more. My work.
Yeah.
And then the 10-session course went from $500 to $1,000.
Right. Yeah.
And they were paying it, Hollywood crowd. They had the money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, years later, my business mentor, and I want to ask you about that also. My business mentor brought out a book called Marketing to the Affluent, because his whole thing was, if you want to make money doing what you're doing, then you take it and you put it in front of the people who have money. Right? I mean, which is just, it's a logical and practical thing to do. Right? So I wanted to ask you about did your business education come from that wealth of Bruce Lee material that you have, or did you actually go out and research business approach and what have you?
I think both, actually. I mean, I did read, here we go. I thought he was, at first I thought Napoleon Hill was talking to me, Think and Grow, Rich.
Right.
You got it.
I love it.
And then you got,
It's very funny.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I don't know if you read that.
You again.
Yeah. Rich.
Right?
Yeah. My father says so one day everyone will call me Rich,
Right.
That's my joke. But anyway, between both, and trial and error, you see.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm doing a camp in Poland. Here it is.
Okay.
In Poland in August. And,
Okay.
we're going to be doing a camp over there. And
Nice.
It's going to.
Nice.
And we already have close to 60 people coming to it.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
right? 60 people. So yeah. So
you'll at least hit the 125 mark like you did in the Netherlands.
maybe, yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm sure.
But so there's a guy that I teach over there too, from Poland. His name is Mikhail, and we decided to do this to spread the word.
Excellent.
Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah. So did you have any JKD business inspiration from anybody in the JKD world? Anybody else in the JKD world?
Inspiration as far as what?
Well, I mean, so was there anybody in the JKD world who was running a school and you saw their operation and you thought, oh yeah, I could implement some of this?
I don't think so. I got to be honest. I mean, the only one that I saw was Bruce with his school. Right. And we all heard that Bruce said he closed all 3 schools down, but in reality he did make a mistake that he didn't take in new students.
Yeah.
Because when you do have a school, you have to constantly continue taking in students, because you're going to have other students leaving for whatever reason, whether it's work related or they're moving, whatever. So yeah. And I guess you know that yourself, that you own a martial arts school. If you're not replenishing what's going out, eventually it's going to dry out. So the idea of having a school, just a private school, and having set of students, and then you have students leaving, and yet you're not bringing in other students to replace them.
Right, because it's a private setup.
And it's going to be doomed. Except for it's not going to succeed.
Did you ever hear that part of the reason for closing at least the Los Angeles thing, was because it couldn't even pay for itself?
That's the truth. It
Okay.
closed in January. I
Mhm.
remember Bruce told Dan in December to close it. In January they closed it. I think it was 69, right? I don't have the exact date, but I could look it up.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, we all hear, you know, Bruce says, you know, we read the biography and said, and Bruce closed all 3 schools down because he didn't want the students to take the agenda as the truth and the schedule
Right.
as the way. You know,
Yes.
it sounds good, but the reality, it closed
But the
because
reality.
it wasn't making money. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
that's
now
just
let
the
me
way it
ask
is.
you, right? Let me ask you, what if that truth, that reality had been revealed and spread and driven into the minds of JKD people at that point in time? Do you think there might be more professionally successful Jeet Kune Do schools today?
You mean from his original students?
Yeah, from whoever was on the receiving end of, let's say, the inside knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
right? If the idea of being, okay, so for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Lee, confirm this for me. Bruce Lee was very good friends with Jun Ree.
Yes, a successful
Okay.
Taekwondo man, yes.
Right. Was there ever a time where Jun Ree was not headed in the direction of being successful with his Taekwondo?
The early stage of when he was starting his school and trying to make himself known, Bruce was actually there helping him, sending him letters and guiding him, and actually helped him introduce him to Mito Uehara so that Jun-Ri could write his own Taekwondo books and so forth.
Right.
That's why you see all those, you know, O'Hara
Yeah.
books from Jun-Ri.
Yeah.
So Bruce was there helping him, but Jun-Ri, as far as success, yeah, he was getting a lot of success for his school, and
Right.
they were getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. I mean, because he took his Taekwondo to Congress, literally, didn't he?
Yes, Washington,
Yeah.
D.C.
Exactly. Right. So now, isn't it interesting then that back in the day, Bruce Lee was counseling Jun Ree on martial arts success?
Yes, it's very ironic.
Yeah. Well, so what happened? What happened
To Bruce.
for us? Yeah, yeah. What happened for us in the later generations?
I don't think Bruce Lee's students were in Jeet Kune Do to teach it in the future. In other words, they weren't in it as a business. Unlike today, where you see everybody wants, you know, you probably go to your school. How long would it take me before I can become an instructor? You know,
Yeah. Right.
and you tell the guy the door's that way. You know, first be a student before you even think about it. Right? So I don't think any of his students were aspiring to open up a Jeet Kune Do school and teach it. I mean, that was Bruce Lee's baby anyway. Who would even think that, you know? And so it wasn't part of their motivation to be training with Bruce for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
I mean, so now we're you know, it's all hindsight. So now we're second guessing what happened 40, 50 years ago and what have you. But what would you say then could be a strategy for us in the present day who have come to realize that this can be a professionally successful endeavor? Do you think that we need to go back to the past and come forward? Do we go forward from here? Have you ever thought in terms of what could be done?
Well, it's a whole different world now. I mean, you know, with social media and the way you publicize your school and yourself, it's a whole different different world now. I mean, if you look at that book, Profitable Showmanship,
Yeah.
you know, basically the bottom line is it means to get yourself known publicly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Which Bruce Lee did. I mean, here he is teaching, you know, Chuck Norris, Mike Stone, Joe Louis,
Right.
you know, the instructor of the champs, you know.
Yeah.
So
in your conversations with your peers, right, with other JKD instructors, have you ever thought that maybe there's some kind of a psychological hindrance towards the idea of becoming successful as a Jeet Kune Do instructor?
I think at the beginning there was.
Uh-huh.
I think at the beginning there
James, have you come across any of that in Europe? I mean, because tell me about differences, if there are any, in the European mentality and approach to Jeet Kune Do versus the gregarious American mentality.
Well, in Europe, a lot of people want to be certified as an instructor after a certain time, and that certification is very important to them. I mean, when I started to learn, I just wanted to learn everything there was to know, and certification was not important at all.
Right. Yeah.
So that's one thing, one big thing.
I think the problem there is that a lot of people think they figured it out by themselves.
How do you mean?
They think they figured out what Jeet Kune Do is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they think that they can actually do Jeet Kune Do, teach Jeet Kune Do, and know what Jeet Kune Do is, but they need the lineage.
Yeah.
So they're looking for someone to lean on to give them that lineage. So now they're legitimate and teach what their version of it is.
That's true.
Right. Have you ever had anybody come from outside of Jeet Kune Do and ask you? So let's say a guy comes and he's created his own system, but he wants legitimacy. So he knows that you are well known. So he comes to you and he asks you if you would like certify or recognize his system so that he could get some legitimacy. Have you ever had something like that happen?
Not their own system, but their own version of what they think Jeet Kune Do is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they, yeah, you know, in other words, you don't even have to teach me.
Right.
Just give me the paper, you know, because I already know it. That,
Yes.
you know, that mentality,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous, you know, because then you look at them and you say, wow, you got a lot missing there, you know, so.
At what point did the idea of the paper, right, the idea of certification come into Ted Wong's mind?
That's a good question, because when I knew him back in the 90s, he refused to give certificates.
Yeah.
Right.
For a long time, he refused to give certificates. He told me, I'm not going to give anyone certificates. You want to learn from me, you just learn from me, and that's it.
Yeah.
So us, the older guys that trained with him back in the 90s, we just trained with him.
Yeah.
You know, and that was it. We didn't
Mm-hmm.
we didn't expect you know, any certification or, you know, there wasn't anyone asking, when are you going to make me an instructor, or when are you going to get a certification?
Yeah.
Nothing. It's just all you did was train with him and learn. And
I miss those days.
Yeah, and that's the way he was.
Mm-hmm.
But as more and more people were teaching Jeet Kune Do, you know, out there, you know, for our first generation instructors, they were giving out certification, you know, all these different titles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, you see all these different titles, and you say to yourself, wow, you know.
Yeah.
Now I think some are even giving what we would call a license, which means the certificate expires or something.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
And if you want you want to get a new certificate, you got to go back and train and pay the dough, you know. So,
okay. Let's do another hypothetical. A guy comes to your school from out of town, moves to your area, comes to your school, and he says, "Oh yeah, I trained so and so. I have a black belt in Jeet Kune Do."
Black belt in Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. Tell me what you think privately, but then what you say to him publicly.
First, I'll ask him, who gave you a black belt in Jeet Kune Do? Who and where? And then they'll say, well, let's see what he taught you.
Yeah.
Well,
what do you think?
I actually do have students that came from other places that moved to the area and trained in their teacher's version of Jeet Kune Do, and then they come to our school and see the difference. Let's put it that way.
Let's do two situations. That one, a guy comes to you, he's trained somewhere else. What do you expect him to be able to do?
Well, I would ask him how long has he been training for.
Okay.
And depending on the experience, he should be in a certain level in the art.
Okay. All right.
See?
What do you expect of a Jeet Kune Do instructor?
That comes to my school?
No, no, right? So at large, if a guy is a so-called Jeet Kune Do instructor, name 2 or 3 things you think he should be able to do.
Well, we can go all the way from the basics to the advanced. Let's see the stance.
Yeah.
Let's see your punch. Let's see your kicks. See, and then let's see your understanding of the art. If I say what is the thusness of execution, and they go, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Then you go, okay.
Right.
You know, the understanding may not be there. The physical part might be there. You know, Bruce Lee, he writes, you know, there's 2 parts in as far as the Jeet Kune Do is concerned. You know, the mastery of the fundamentals and the progressive application. And you can get guys that master the proper fundamentals, but the progressive application may not be there.
Right.
And, and like I said, when you have 2 parts and you only do 1 part, you miss the whole a whole different aspect of it.
Yeah. Does that idea of wholeness, how do you approach that when it comes to the weapons portion of martial art?
I think the weapons portion of martial arts has to stay, again, realistic as far as being able to do it, you know, execute it, and also defend from it. It has to be realism.
Right.
For example, you know, defense against a knife, and the ability of yourself to use a knife.
Yeah.
You know, or fighting someone with a knife.
Right.
You know, being able to pick up any weapon, and you know, and I don't mean weapon as far as weapon, but just any object in that, and being able to use it proficiently if you have to defend yourself, right? So that, it has to stay realistic.
Right. Because if you look in volume 4 of Bruce Lee's Fighting Method, right? He advocates, now, of course, this is 1967, right? So we're second guessing again. But he advocates, for example, kicking the knife out of the guy's hand, right? But the guy is holding the weapon with the tip up. If the guy's holding the weapon with the knife with the tip down, then, you know, that's harder to pull. And I think Bruce Lee could probably do that at will, right? Kick the knife out of somebody's hand. But us mere mortals, we might have to have a different approach.
Well,
so
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So I wanted to ask you: do you think then that some people in the JKD world may have gone out to round off their knowledge, but then maybe they drifted too far away from, like you were talking about, the reality and the practicality of it?
Yeah, if you're going to try to do an Aikido move, you know, to grab the arm and try to throw the guy over you with a knife in your hand,
right?
You're not being realistic there. See,
right?
Like, for example, the example you gave about kicking, You know, it depends. What's the situation? You know, can you run? Can you, do you have to stay there because you're in an elevator and you have no choice but to kick? You know, what is the situation? You know, sometimes I try to put my students in the worst situation they can get into.
Yeah.
And we try to, you know, get ourselves out of it.
Yeah.
You know, for the like the example, being in an elevator and somebody takes out a knife on you. You know.
Right.
And you have to know what to do in a situation like that. You just can't figure out, oh, there's no way I can kick this knife out of his hand. You know, well, you may have to use your legs whether you like it or not, because if not, you get stabbed. So, if you have nothing in your hands, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know.
So okay. So let me ask you this: what would your recommendation or your advice be if somebody in JKD, what they want to do is extract the essence of, let's say, weaponry and grappling, right? Let's say that Jeet Kune Do is not well known for weaponry and grappling, but a JKD guy wants to extract the essence of it. What's your recommendation for how he should approach it, how he should train it?
I would say understand the difference between what sport is and what realistic fighting is. So if you're doing the grappling, you know, are you doing it in a sports sense or are you doing it in a realistic sense? How many times have we watched MMA? You know, we watched it, right?
Right.
And I said, man, there goes a punch in the groin, you know.
Right.
Meanwhile, the guy trying to give him a tiger lock on the leg to give him an ankle lock.
Yeah.
You know, and opening up the legs instead of just with his heel stomping on the groins or something.
Right. I got to ask you about that. I think it was maybe it was you have a student named Christopher Lafalce, right? It might have been him. He says that he leg checked Sifu Wong one time, and that Ted Wong scooped his leg up and put him in an ankle crank.
Yeah, because
where did Ted Wong get that from?
Oh, you're gonna have
That's
to
a
ask
great
that one.
story. That's a great story.
Yeah, he used to like to do the single leg takedown, and hit you with his forearm on the thigh. Yeah, and then bring you down. Usually he wouldn't go down and do an ankle lock. Usually he'd just bring you down and finish it off with a punch to the groin.
Yeah, right.
But I think because Chris was a big guy, he might have fallen down with him. Ted Wong, and he said, "Oh," and cranked his ankle. You know.
Okay.
So,
I remember seeing Randy Williams videos way back in the day with Wong Sifu. Was he rounding out his Wing Chun knowledge?
I think Randy wanted him to assist him in doing that video.
Oh, okay.
It was more that.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Ted wanted to tell people he didn't know Wing Chun.
Right.
But he knew a lot of aspects of Wing Chun. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you look at him in the James Lee book. Who's helping out James Lee in the book? Ted Wong. You know, in the Wing Chun book. Yeah. You know, and the fighting methods, obviously, he's with Bruce Lee. Yeah. And Dan, you know, both of them. Yeah. So he definitely knew elements of Wing Chun. Very well.
Yeah. I mean, he in the fighting method book, he's the one who he's posing for the Chi Sao and everything.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Also with James Lee.
Right. Let's go back to business again. Did you ever join any of the martial art like business advisory groups or what have you?
I hated those books, those magazines. I get them all the time. I'm sorry, but I hate, and I'll tell you why. Because they concentrate so much on the business aspect that they don't concentrate on the martial arts quality. You know, they just constantly, you know, how to make money with a martial arts school, how to make money. And I would read them in the beginning. I would read them because I thought, hey, maybe they have something to offer. And eventually it got to the point where they're just telling you, you know, just take the hell out of every student and parent and keep juicing them for whatever you can. I mean, they would tell you every month have a project, you know, Nunchaku club, sleepover club, and this and the parents supposed to write you a check every, you know, or the students write you a check every month besides the tuition. You know, I just took all that through. I said that's not me. You know, I have to be honest. You know, with my students and with my parents, and I would never do anything like that.
What's the most disgusting story you ever heard about the traditional schools and their business approach? I'll tell you mine if you can't think of any.
Oh, let me see. Well, you told me yours, and I'll see what pops up in my head.
Have you ever heard of the guaranteed black belt program?
Oh, the black belt club.
Well, no, but I mean, even better than that, the guaranteed black belt program. You know, like 2 years.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
That's another pet peeve that I have is, you know, you join the black belt club, you know, the training is more intensive, you know. Well, how about the other kids who don't want to join the black belt club? What is their training about?
What that means, if the training is more intensive, what that means is that they teach them nunchaku spinning.
No, it means the training is more expensive. That's what I meant to say. You know, they get out of hand with the, you know, there has to be a balance between teaching quality martial arts and the business aspect of it.
Right.
You can't.
How do you? Yeah. Okay. But how do you achieve that balance?
You have to be honest, I think. You have to be honest and know that there's a point you won't go beyond as far as trying to gain any type of monetary gain from someone. In other words, you're giving them a quality product, and they're reimbursing you for that quality product. But you just don't want to continue, you know, just hoarding everything you can out of them. That's ridiculous.
So we're talking about deciding that there's a point that you won't go beyond, right? Okay. Do you remember when I doubt very much that it's still in vogue, but there was a time where the trend was towards cashing out your students?
There still is.
It still is, really?
Yeah, won't do that either.
Wow.
They want to buy your students' contract. It's funny because I had a company that told me they wanted to be my collection agency.
Right.
And I said, what makes you think I need a collection agency, you know?
Right.
Said, well, don't you collect tuition every month and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I said, yes. They go, what do you do if somebody won't pay you and everything? You know? I said, we want to, and I said, I just make a phone call to Brooklyn and they take care of it. You know? And the guy hung up.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, they get ridiculous sometimes, you know.
Yeah. I was on the phone once with Florida Power and Light, right? The electricity company. And the girl says to me, she says, you know, thank you for being a good customer for over 20 years, right? And something. So then, you know, she realizes that she's talking to a martial arts school, right? And I swear to you, she stops and she says, "You're sure you're a martial arts school?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "But those places don't usually stay in business very long."
That's true. We've seen so many schools open and close near us.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when they open up, they advertise, you know, we're the best and nobody's better than us. And a few months later, they close. You know.
So what's the secret to your success? Or a secret to your success? Let me rephrase that.
Well, we're honest, first of all. We teach a quality martial art, which is Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody in our school really gets along very well with each other.
Ah.
You know, it's like a brotherhood.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think all those things, after a while, it becomes the place to go to a club. You know, something that we all go to and hang out and train and so forth.
How do you deal with an attempt at egomania in your school?
We don't have that in our school. I think it has to do with the area that we live in, you know.
Okay.
I think if we live more closer to New York City, it might be more of that.
Okay.
But where we live, everybody's pretty down to earth.
All right. I'm moving tomorrow then.
Really nice people out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
nice.
Are there
Which I
really
like.
are there really nice people in the Netherlands too, James?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm moving tomorrow then.
You're welcome.
I'm moving tomorrow. The other thing that became a money maker for schools in the 90s and forward was the fitness kickboxing.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And I know that fitness kickboxing is offered in the Fishkill area.
Yes.
Right. You've never ventured into that.
I did it for a little while,
Okay.
but
Back in the Taibo era?
yeah, I actually knew Billy Blanks. Met him a couple of times.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
But we did it. We would do a cardio kickboxing class first,
Yeah.
and we had females and males doing it. And
Yeah.
then when the females leave, some of my male students will stay, and we'll do full contact sparring after that.
Right.
Boy, did that really wore you out. But
Yeah.
but eventually, like some of these things that they just people come and eventually they drop out, and
Yeah. I mean, it's a fitness trend, so
it becomes a trend, and then it stops being a trend. I mean, I had women come and say, "Oh, you should do this 5 days a week," and well, because I was doing it 3 times a week, I think. And those are the first ones that that don't come.
that quit. Yeah.
So eventually, I just stopped it and completely, and I just stayed with the martial arts.
Okay. Confirm this story for me. I heard a story that Bruce Lee did actually teach a group of women at the Los Angeles YWCA or something.
That I'm not aware of. I never heard that.
No? Okay.
I know he had a women's class in Seattle, but I never heard.
A women's only class?
No, that the women were in the class, but
Yeah.
not in LA, so I wouldn't know about that.
Yeah.
I never heard that at all.
Okay. All right. Now, talking about the Seattle class. So there are pictures from the Seattle era where you can see uniforms being used.
Yeah, they had a vest
Yes.
and with a little patch on it.
Yeah. But now by the time you get to Los Angeles, it's pretty much wear whatever you want to wear. Right?
Same thing with
What are
Oakland.
your thoughts? Yeah, what are your thoughts on that transition of attitude and approach? Anything?
I think.
I mean, do you use uniforms?
Yeah, this is our shirt right here.
Right. Right. That's what I thought. Okay. So tell me what your thoughts are on that transition, on Bruce Lee's transition, and then tell me why you use uniforms.
The Seattle school was the first school that Bruce Lee ever had, as far as the professional school. I'm talking about the storefront school in University Way.
Yeah.
So at University Way, he had everyone wear uniforms, and the school was basically more of a formal gung fu school.
Yeah.
By Oakland, I think he was still trying to do that, but he wasn't in Oakland too long. And James Lee closed the school down because it basically didn't do well, and they started teaching in the garage. So when you're teaching in the garage, basically, you don't need a uniform, because it's just a garage. And then when he opened up the LA school, I don't think Bruce Lee wanted to be involved with having people in uniform. He just told wear whatever you want to wear. Just don't wear a gi and come barefoot.
Yeah.
Because all those Ed Parker guys were all, they used to be, they had the traditional uniform, and most of those guys came from that school. So
did you ever hear if there was an issue because of that? Because a lot of the Kempo guys are the ones that came over.
I'm sure there was. I'm sure Ed Parker wasn't happy about it.
Yeah.
But he left the school himself. He had somebody running the school. Actually, I think Dan was the one teaching it. Because I heard he was trying to do, he wanted to teach the Hollywood crowd, the actors and private lessons, which Bruce followed.
Right. Yeah.
So I think because he wasn't there, the students didn't feel guilty about leaving. You know, so they left, and they went to Bruce. But I'm sure when Ed Parker heard that 5, 6, 7 students left to go train with Bruce, I'm sure he wasn't happy about it. But what could he do?
Yeah.
And then when Bruce started teaching the Hollywood crowd, Ed Parker had a little bit of a competition there. But they still remain very good friends for a long time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
So a guy who's been training for a long time, he's quite proficient. He's got an instructor certificate, and he comes to you and he says, okay, you've been successful for a long time. I want to start my own school. What do you say to him?
Where? Are you going to open
Well,
up a
no,
school?
he's not. No, yeah, okay. No, he's not opening up in Fishkill, okay? No.
Then I'll make a phone call to Brooklyn if he does.
Yeah. What are you, so give him 3 steps, 3 first steps.
If he was opening somewhere else, I would tell him watch your overhead, first of all. A lot of people want to open up gigantic big schools.
Well, yeah, that's what they see. That's what they see all the time. That's what they see on social media. Everybody's aiming for 10,000 square foot,
You're going to have to pay 10,000 square foot rent.
Right.
And light.
Yeah.
And air conditioning and heat.
Yep. But everybody's aiming for 10. I mean,
And you say, well, I'll have enough students for that. But are you teaching for yourself or are you teaching for the landlord?
yeah.
Well, that's the question.
Yeah.
See?
Well, in the old days, the benchmark was, in the old days of martial art business, the benchmark was 300 active students. Right? Have you ever aimed for those kinds of numbers?
Aiming for it is one thing, achieving it is another, because like I say, one comes in and the other one might be going out for whatever reason. So they're more replenishing themselves than increasing the numbers as far as students is concerned.
Yeah.
But you have to be realistic too, then you have to change your whole program to teach that amount of people. Because Jeet Kune Do is not something like a karate school where you can have everyone lined up behind you and you throw a punch and they throw a punch with you, in the air.
Yeah. So two things then. In teaching basic approach to business, Brian Tracy teaches that you have to constantly be working on attracting new customers. So in our case, attracting new students, and then also retaining the students that you already have. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do to attract new people and what you do to keep the ones that you already have?
Well, if you do if you're teaching like a quality product, like I said, like Jeet Kune Do, and you're doing it honestly, your students themselves will recommend you to other people.
Okay.
As far as that's concerned, I've had students that have left for whatever reason, job related, or they got married, whatever reason, and then a person walks in and they say, "Oh, you had an old student named so and so, and he recommended your school to me."
Yeah.
So what does that say about you? When a student who left is still recommending the school to you, to other people.
Yeah.
So it means that they believe that you gave them something honestly, martial arts as far as realistic is concerned, and they were willing to pay for it, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And it wasn't thought of as just a business.
Yeah. And you achieve that without like special promo codes or a free trial offer and all that stuff.
You learn really, really quick when you make mistakes, I tell you. And when I first opened up the school, I have free trial classes.
Yeah.
And when I did that, I had a lot of young kids come. Young kids, I mean, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids.
Yeah.
To try out Jeet Kune Do. And they would do the free trial class, and then ask them, well, are you interested in signing up? And they go, well, I can't. I have a 3-year contract with Master So-and-so. And so they wanted, which the schools don't exist anymore. So they wanted you come here and go, oh, the class is free trial class. I wanted to try out Jeet Kune Do for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
So you learn very quickly not to do something like that. Actually.
Do you remember when this was a few years ago? The trend was free for 30 days.
Yeah. Well, free for 30 days. Are you going to hold them to a membership agreement after the 30 days, or how about if they leave?
I never understood exactly the science behind it, but it was the rage. It was what everybody was doing.
Have you ever gone to a fitness gym that would give you free for 30 days?
No. They take you on a tour of the place, and then they take you into the office, and they might give you a pass for a week.
Yep.
But that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of LA Fitness giving anybody a pass for 30 days. No, not at all. Not at all.
I know. Well, it's just sometimes it's just a gimmick. When you're teaching something as good as Jeet Kune Do, you don't really need a lot of gimmicks. Let's put it that way. But when you're competing with people that are teaching the same exact thing, and they're trying to teach all the little kids, and they're all competing against each other, then you have to have gimmicks.
Do the people in Jeet Kune Do really know how good it is? Or are they overwhelmed by so much outside of Jeet Kune Do that captures the public's attention? And so they think, I gotta be more like those guys because the public is in love with BJJ, the public is in love with MMA, so I gotta be more like that in order for the public to love me.
I think it depends where you're located. If you're in an area where...
That's why I'm moving tomorrow.
If you're located in an area where they have BJJ schools everywhere, and MMA, I mean, I'm really surprised that those schools some of them are still open, because some of the stuff that they teach is just, going to the ground and constantly and grappling on the ground and sweating with each other. And I think Sifu Ted once told me, and I'm quoting him exactly, I think you might have been there when he said that, right? He said, who the hell wants to be grappling with a sweaty guy all over you every single day? He told me that one time, and I just laughed. In other words, he's all over you. So he kind of saw that too. But to each his own. I always say, if you're going to compete in the sport of it, then go ahead. Do it.
Yeah.
If you're looking for some realistic self-defense, then you may want to consider Jeet Kune Do.
Okay. All right. I got 2 more topics I want to touch on, because you guys got better things to do on a Friday evening than hang out with me. So, what do you make of? Okay, I'll do this one first. The idea that Jeet Kune Do is not for the masses, right? Which is something that we've heard over the years. So if it's not for the masses, how am I going to make a good living with it?
Well, first of all, do you agree it's not for the masses? I disagree with that.
Well, but it's fairly authoritative people who have said that.
I disagree. I don't think it's... Okay. I think you can teach Jeet Kune Do to anyone.
Okay.
I remember I was going to, with Sifu Ted, we were in Holland, and we went to it was a junior high school? What do they call it?
Oh, yeah. It's junior high school.
Yeah. We had 30 or 40 kids we were teaching some Jeet Kune Do to. And they were enjoying every bit of it. Yeah. And it was a public school that we went to. He and I went to do a seminar there, and then James arranged for us to go to one of the public schools to teach the teenagers there. And he enjoyed it, and they enjoyed it. And so when you're saying it's not for the masses, maybe if you mean maybe the technical aspect of it, you know, the philosophical aspect of it, now maybe some people won't get it.
Yeah, well, you know, look, mass market appeal is found in, and you realize what I use there, right? MMA. Mass market appeal is in uniforms, belts, birthday parties, stripes on your belt, testing every month or every 3 months or what have you, black belt graduations and all that. That's mass market appeal. We have none of that. So what then is it that we push or promote to the masses?
Well, some of them is not bad. I mean, you can give rank to students. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You can still give them, you know, if like for example, the classes, I divide the classes from beginners, intermediate, and advanced. So the beginners are looking forward to being in the next stage, which would be the intermediate class, and then you have to go into the advanced class and so forth.
So they're doing that without rank at your school?
No,
or is there rank involved?
There will be a certificate given out as far as you completed, you know, second level, you completed third level, and so forth.
Yeah.
You know, so that's it. But my students really don't even ask for any type of certificate or ask me when I'm going to test them or anything. I'm the one that decides. And very, very rarely do I ever have anyone ask me to be tested or whatever. You know, they're just there day in and day out training and enjoying it. You know, if they didn't enjoy it, they wouldn't be there. But they enjoy it, and then I tell them, you know, then I'll tell them, and I'll look at them, look at their attendance. And I said, okay, you're ready to be tested for the next level.
James, you're nodding your head. You do the same thing at home also?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with giving rank.
Right.
Even though Sifuter at the beginning didn't want to give any rank.
Yeah.
And he was almost kind of forced to. Because once the nuclear came out and there was more first generation people involved in the nucleus, and now they were being noticed, and people were asking, "Oh, teach me," and they were getting themselves pretty well organized as far as, okay, I'll teach, I'll get this rank, and blah blah blah. You know, some of the guys were approaching Ted Wong saying, "Hey, so and so is giving rank, and we're not getting anything." You know,
It was no.
Right.
You never talked to Ted Wong about rank. Yeah, a lot of guys got chastised for that. But eventually he did. He gave out rank.
Yeah. Do you have an opinion that you would share on why Jeet Kune Do organizations, so like the JKD Society, whose special event you were invited to, and the nucleus, why they didn't last too long? I mean, if it's a private opinion, that's fine.
Well, the society was run by Richard Bastillo. He was really in charge of that. And I think when the nucleus came about, because Linda, she wasn't aware that there was this little bit of a controversy between original Jeet Kune Do and Jeet Kune Do Council. So she wanted to kind of clear the air with, not have these guys come at each other. So she tried to organize everybody. Yeah. Actually, the first nucleus meeting in Seattle, she did organize everybody, and everybody was in agreement. But then after that, some people decided, no, when they got home, I'm not going to be part of this. But
Democrats and Republicans again.
Yeah, but I think the nucleus, the reason it didn't last is because, and I think I mentioned it in our first dialogue, when you have she gave an equal voice to everybody, and when you have and not one person was the leader, which I think she should have been the leader, because she's Mrs. Bruce Lee, and listen to everybody's opinion, and then eventually make the call on whatever they were trying to decide upon. I mean, that's why we have a president, right? We elect him; he makes the final decision.
Yeah.
So I think when you give everybody a free voice, it just opens up doors for disputes.
Okay.
Because everybody's
All right.
opinionated. I mean, that's just human nature. That everybody
Okay.
has their own opinion.
All right. Well, this might be superfluous, but okay. So last thing, because I just got the alert that the battery's running low. What do you make then of the dichotomy that we have in the martial art world, where the founder of the system is one of the most famous, one of the best known martial artists of all time, but his art is not as well known as he is?
Because it's a new art. It's not as old as all the other arts is concerned. And
Okay.
and he himself didn't organize it to be taught out there in schools.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't something that Bruce Lee put his mind to. Like he said, you know, I'm going to start teach. You know, I want to branch out and teach Jeet Kune Do everywhere. And I want you go there, you go there. So it wasn't something that he himself did. You know, he concentrated more on a movie career than he did in the martial arts. And you can't blame him. I mean, the people that he was teaching were all in the movie industry. So he's looking at this and saying, this is where the money is, you know, the movie industry, not teaching martial arts, you know. So he concentrated on that more than on the school.
Yeah.
So and I think because of that, the art itself really wasn't out there. I mean, when Bruce Lee passed away, there was no Jeet Kune Do school anywhere.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And no one taught it. So, and eventually, you know, a few of the students that came out wanted to pass his teachings.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they did that. See. So, I stand corrected on that. When the school closed, I have it here. It was December '69 that Dan told Bruce that the school's not doing too well, and so Bruce told him to close it. And it was January 1970 when it actually closed.
70 that they closed it down. Yeah.
And he told him, you know, teaching the get one, you know, the diehard students and teach in your backyard. You know, when you're teaching in the backyard, like Dan was, and you're teaching in the garage, like James Lee was in Oakland, and you're teaching in the basement, like Taki Komura was in Seattle, the big thing is no overhead.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. You know, we're here talking about business. The big thing with those three, that they all three went to, you know, the basement, the garage, and the backyard, is because there is no overhead. There's no rent, no electricity, no air conditioning, no heat. So they can teach whatever they want, and, you know,
and be happy.
Yeah, they don't have to pay somebody to do that. So the solution was that, you know, go and teach privately, and we don't have to worry about the school. Yeah. And then Bruce Lee then concentrated on his movie career doing that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, when Bruce Lee passed away and everybody heard that there was a Bruce Lee art called Jeet Kune Do, the next question is, where do we learn it?
Where can I get it? Yeah.
And unfortunately, Bruce didn't leave a school. Yeah. With anyone in charge, you know. So that was a big problem. That was a big problem.
Okay. All right. On that note, thanks again for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
No problem.
And James, good to make your acquaintance. Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
All right.
Yeah, he's over here hanging out with us.
All right, man.
Okay.
All right. You guys have a great weekend.
Okay.
And we'll talk again.
Thank you.
Right? Let's do that now, right?
Take care.
Take care, buddy.
All right, boys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, that was episode number 48 of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues with Sifu Richard Torres out of Fishkill. Just a couple of notes, guys. Go ahead and you know, feel free to like, comment, ask questions. I'm sorry that I didn't get to any of the questions during the presentation, but I'll follow up with Sifu Richard. And in case any of you are wondering, his website is jkdmartialarts.com, right? So you can get in touch with him there. So feel free to share, like, comment, and all that stuff. Sign up for notifications for when we go live here on Facebook and when we post the edited versions up on the YouTube. At ilovejeetkundo.com, the Quick Skills series, Volume 1, still available. Coming up next, so because it's with Robert Parmakovsky out of Australia, the next episode of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues will actually be Thursday evening at 11 p.m. So if you guys happen to be up on a Thursday at 11 p.m., I'll be live with Robert Parmakovsky out of Melbourne, Australia. Otherwise, you'll see it on Friday or something, right? So that's episode number 49 next Thursday evening, which is February 21st at 11 p.m. And that's it. We'll see you back here next. Well, then I might do another one on next Friday also. So stay tuned and we'll see what we can do. All right? Okay, guys, take care. Enjoy your weekend and see you next time.